Good evening, everyone. Thank you all for tuning in. This is Letha's Real Talk. I'm Letha. We have our co-host slash our CEO joining us tonight right now, Miss Frederica. Justin, he may
Hello,
be on and he
everybody.
may not. Hi, Frederica. How has your week been?
Oh, so far so good. Just battling these sinuses with this crazy weather, but other than
Um,
that, it's been good.
okay. So we are we are going to talk about a few things, everybody. I think this is I think it's a great topic. I think it's something that we all can relate with. We are dealing with we're going to talk about individual identity issues. I I I I think it's a good topic. Um I have struggled over the years. I'm actually tagging a few random people in here also because we just never know who may or who may not be interested. So, one thing I can say that I've have a few things that I've struggled with over the years. One for sure has been my weight. I've always struggled with my hair, my weight in my hair. Um, And even to this day, it's still a struggle. As you all see, I have a wig on. I was, um, I'm just not feeling where my hair is right now. To me, my hair looks better. I look better. Honestly, when my hair, if it's natural, I look better when I have almost no hair, little to no hair. I think that the longer my hair looks, it is in an afro stage. To me, it's always made me look older. I don't feel as attractive. Um, I've always felt like my hair tends to look better straight unless it's like extremely short, like almost bald short. Frederica, like you, where your hair and I've even been shorter. And I just think I look better with my wigs or whatever. I think that I can't say why I feel the way that I feel for me personally. And that's just certain things as we dive a little bit deeper into the conversation. I can't say in this present moment as to why I truly feel like that. I know I've had to come up in the past. I've tried to say things like, oh, my mom was light skinned. She had all this long flowing hair, which she did. My mother had hair down to her behind. Um, my dad's side, everybody had like this awesome hair. Well, most almost everybody. I can't say in this present moment why I feel like that. I think for me, maybe over the years I have gotten accustomed to add-ons when it comes to hair that I have done it so much that that's what I know and that's what I'm familiar with. And just speaking from the few, my hair and my weight from a physical appearance, I think that as far as my hair goes, that has been an issue for me as a hairdresser who mainly only do people hair that grow. I got one lady, I cut her weave for her, just one. Um, I think that sometimes it bothers me that I encourage people like Frederica looks phenomenal in her short hair. She's just a phenomenal, beautiful lady anyway. A lot of my clientele, they hair looks phenomenal on them. Is to me, it's like I haven't worn mine enough to even be able to accept it or appreciate it. And with my weight, don't even get started on that. So I'm gonna let Frederica put her spin on, but we want to try to use this moment to try to encourage each other or hit on some things as to why Different people may struggle with different identity issues. You all, if y'all are looking on Facebook, I will be checking my phone. We're all welcome to people to put their spin on it because we do want to hear what other people have to say. Frederica?
Hey, good evening, everybody. Um, like Letha, I struggled throughout my life with my weight. And then later on down the line, as I got a little older, into like I say my early to mid 20s, I struggled with my hair as well. Um, I've always been a bit on the heavier side, all my life. I was born that way. I was born 8 pounds, 3 ounces. Um, I was my mom's biggest baby, the oldest and the biggest baby, literally. So I've always had issues with my weight. Even now, I still struggle with it. Even though I have lost 50 plus pounds so far, it's still a struggle. It's still a struggle. Yeah, it's still a struggle every day. And I struggle to, even as a child, I struggled to accept who I was, because I was always the quote unquote biggest child. I was either always the biggest and the tallest, or I was just the biggest. So I was always something. So I struggled even then, just to accept myself for who I was, because I always felt like I'm the fat girl in the group. I'm the fat girl in the room. No, nobody wants to talk to me. Nobody wants to, hear what I have to say. None of the boys would like me because, of course, back then, plus size women were not in it. Like you had to, see us in the dark. You had to meet us in the dark. But now, everybody wants a big, beautiful woman in all of her thickness, and I can appreciate that. But if you're gonna love me, love all of me. Love all of my insecurities, love all of my doubts, my fears, my thoughts, my past. Love all of me. Don't just love the physical me. Love the spiritual me. Love the mental me, the emotional me. Love all of me. Um, as far as my hair goes, this right here, Lisa, this took me a long time to accept.
But you
It
look
took me a
so good.
while, but it took me a while to accept. Like I had always wanted to like cut it completely off like this. And I would always say, "Oh, I don't think I look good like that," or "I don't, I want to keep my hair." But when I started going natural back in 2010, I just slowly started cutting it off. I don't know why, but I just slowly started cutting it off to the point where I was just like, this little mini afro is just not working for me. I might as well just cut it on off. And when I finally, the first time I saw myself like this, I
Mhm.
was like, you have got to be kidding me. This this is me for real? I had never felt so beautiful in my life. I had never felt so beautiful in my life. And mind you, I've worn wigs, I've had kinky twists, I've had braids, I've had, whatever type of hairstyle you could think of, I've had it. And I was cute, but this right here, baby, can't nobody tell me nothing. I'm beautiful. And it like I said, it took me a while to accept it because everybody was like, "Why you cut your hair like that? Aren't you afraid? Aren't you afraid people are gonna think that you're a dude?" Well, if they think that I'm a dude with all of this lusciousness that I got going on, then that's their problem. That's a them problem. That's not a me problem. So I had to learn how to just accept myself for who I was and who God made me and
Mhm.
not have to worry about what other people think. But that again, you know, that's a them problem. If they can't accept me for who I am, then that's a them problem, not a me problem. That's not a Frederica problem. You
Mhm.
know, I am who I am, and and this when I say this, I'm not saying this to brag, but since I've been wearing my hair like this, and Letha knows this because she's cut my hair over the years. I have really I've inspired a lot of women to cut their hair like this.
Mhm.
And that was not the purpose of me cutting my hair like this. I did this for me because it was me being on a journey trying to find myself. But what I found was, like I said, I didn't realize that I was beautiful. And I didn't start cutting my hair like this until I was in my 30s, my early 30s, and I'm about to be 38 next month. So I finally started accepting myself. When I say I was maybe about 31, 32, somewhere in there, I really started accepting myself. And it wasn't just about me cutting my hair off. Um, but it was just about me finally saying, okay, God, I see what you did when you made me. And I'm going to accept it and I'm going to embrace it. And I'm going to let my light shine, regardless of who feels the way that they feel, who doesn't like it, or whatever the case may be. Like, I just have to learn how to just accept me for me. And I had to learn how to be comfortable in my own skin. Because what I also notice is that sometimes, and again, this is not me bragging, because people say sometimes I can get a little full of myself. But I just, I just speak the truth. Sometimes when I walk in the room, I can feel the energy shift. And I sometimes it's like, is it shifting in a good way or is it shifting in a bad way? And I realize that's just my light illuminating a dark room sometimes. Hear me with the spiritual and not with the physical, y'all, when I say that. Sometimes when I walk in the room, my light is shining so bright that it brightens up the whole room. And a lot of people don't like that. A lot of people don't. Oh, she thinks she better than everybody else. Oh, she think just cause she da 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 da. No, no, that's just your insecurity talking. I don't think I'm better than anybody. I struggle just like the next person. I have my issues just like the next person. I never think I'm better than anybody. But what I've learned how to just accept who I am the way that God made me. And I've learned how to have confidence in myself and confidence in who I am as a woman, but better yet, as a Black woman, because that's the most important thing. I've learned how to just accept that. And I've learned how to accept that I have a light about me, I have a glow about me, and it attracts a certain type of person to me. That's why a lot of people can't get with my vibe sometimes
Mhm.
because they just don't they don't they can't get it, you know. So I've accepted it. I've accepted it. I've struggled with it for years. And Letha, I'm here to say, baby, come on to this side.
Look, I'm slowly, honey. When you see that mess I had going, I might post it later on. I did a little video. It's a
Yeah.
mess.
Like
It's a
I've
mess. I
seen
miss
you.
my hair short like that. I think
Yeah, I
I don't know. I don't know why. I can't quite identify as to why I have struggled with so much with the aesthetics of my hair when I know for me, I like my
mhm,
hair better when it's like what you have. I just
mhm,
feel to me, I just liked it. It just to me, it just I
yeah.
didn't feel like earlier today. I first of all, I don't want to be rubbing out as moisturizer on no hair.
Mhm,
Second of all, my hair does that. I'm thankful for my hair to hair, but however, for my hair to look like I want it to look, I have to do too much work. I don't want to do that. And outside of the work, to me, I just look better when it's shorter, right? And I can't understand why I'm making it a point to have hair, and this is what I'm gonna do anyway. When my hair was short, I didn't do this. I would cut it off. It would, and then when it got to the point to where that afro was too thick under that stocking cap, then I would start plaiting it, and put it, back. Like now it's too thick under the stocking cap. I had to plait it down or whatever. So I don't know. I don't know what I think one thing I think we all need to understand is that we have to be conscientious on things we say to people coming up. I think that's very important. Um, Reforming the hair, parents, for the child's hair to be easier for you to deal with, I don't think that's a good idea. And I'm gonna say why, because how can a child embrace something that's naturally theirs and they don't know how to embrace something that's naturally theirs? I wore braids coming up, but when I wore braids, it wasn't all this hair being added in. Um, I think we do need to kind of be a little bit conscientious as adults, especially in regards to little girls, what we do to little girls' hair. Because a lot of the times, some people can't embrace what they have not been taught to embrace. There's nothing wrong with getting crochets and braids and adding in the extra hair, the quick weaves, the prontos, the ponytails. That's nothing wrong with that. But like I said, when they are used to looking at themselves like that, that's truly all they know. And then we'll say, well, people don't cherish themselves enough. People have to be taught and shown. And when you teach people, I can't tell you just to love yourself. I have to be able to show you how to love yourself. And I can't show you how to love yourself if I'm not exemplifying to you that I truly know how to love how to love me. Sometimes identity issues go deeper than what you see on the surface. Sometimes it's an internal thing. Even though I think if you are self-conscious about certain things within yourself, I do think that is internal, but I think internal goes so deep. I think people sometimes struggle with envy unintentionally. I think people unintentionally envy other people. I think sometimes um, status, social status, and economic/financial status has a lot to do with how people struggle in regards to identity issues. I think that we should not wait until we see all of this disconnect from not welcoming from the individual not loving on themselves enough. We should not wait until we see that people truly have self-esteem issues. We should not wait until we hear people talk bad about themselves. Think it's best to just be encouraged, because people struggle from an identity stance on so many different levels. And like I said, I'm not just talking about physical. So I'm not just talking about your hair, your body. People struggle when it comes to, I may think, hey, Frederica, Frederica got it going on better than me. She wear these clothes, she do this, she do this. That is internal issues that a lot of people tend to struggle with, male and female, no matter where you are from, no matter where you are in life, no matter what a lot of people have been through, these are things that actually add to people struggling individually. And the thing about individual struggle, people sometimes can't see your struggle. It's very important that we go out the way to try to encourage people to feel a little bit better, not just about themselves from what we see on the outside, but about their situation. No matter if I know who Miss Sally Sue is, you know, I may need to just tell this stranger that it's going to be okay, or tell this stranger, hey, me seeing you today has brightened my day, or smile at somebody. But male and females do struggle with identity issues, and it varies from person to person. Have you ever seen a person just not be satisfied with themselves any other time? Ever? Well, according to Google, um, it trauma is a key factor. Abuse, losing a loved one, undergoing a shocking event can fracture an individual's perception of their world and themselves. Relationship changes, that can truly have an issue. Identity, individual identity issues. A couple could be going through divorce, separation. You could be entering a new relationship, can leave a person feeling unsure of their identity, particularly if they were in a codependent relationship. Social and cultural pressures, and we just mentioned this, conflict and expectations from society. So I really think that the social and the cultural pressures should probably be almost at the top of the list. Um, and one thing I'm learning, it's happening across the board. It's happening on jobs. We're in this world of perform, perform, perform. Productivity, productivity, productivity. I deal with people from different career backgrounds, whether it's in education, whether it's in entertainment, whether it's in fashion, whether it's in the restaurant industry, whether people are in I think I mentioned the medical industry, whether it's people in the insurance industry, whether it's people in the barber and beauty, in the beauty industry. So many things about do, perform, perform, perform. And what a lot of these jobs are doing, they're making all of these comparisons. I was talking to a young lady a few months ago, and she is a hairdresser, and she is a very good hairdresser. Like, when I say appearance, performance, she got it all. Okay. When you can do this. So we was talking one day, and I could tell in her lingo that she had worked around other people who made her feel like she wasn't up to par as a hairstylist, because what the entity may consider performance to be, she may not have been performing on paper as well as they was performing, but looking at her work, she does extraordinary work, right? But can you imagine what that can do to an individual just on a job, to compare an employee to somebody else, to always brag about other people's performance just because on paper they performance is well? What about the quality? And I tell people, you have to be very careful what you say to people and how you treat people. I share with somebody else that I can tell that this young lady has been scarred. There is a mental block, even though she does extraordinary work. How sad is that? Because part of social and culture, um, trauma or pressures occur on jobs every single day. You spend majority for anybody that work a full-time job. Wherever you spend most of your time, that's where those pressures are going to come from. I was sharing with a young lady the other day who's in the medical industry. And, I said, I know dental hygienists that have changed careers because it has gotten into this level of performance. What does that do to an individual? How does that build somebody's esteem? If this is something I truly feel like I was equipped to do and called to do, and the only thing I'm being asked to do when I get to work is more, 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 more. And I think people need to understand that it's not just what we see on TV or we hear on the radio. It's not just what occurred to us as kids. It's not just broken relationships where you spend most of your time, where you have issues. That's where those issues stem from a good portion of the time. And people are exhausted. And then you try to lift people up, and sometimes you try to lift people up from their day or their week, and sometimes they've been so bogged down. As much as Frederica may be trying to lift me up, depending on what type of week I've had, I may not even be mentally ready in that moment to even accept, because I'm still dwelling on everything that I have had to deal with when people spend most of their times on their careers on a day-to-day basis. And that's why I like it's speaking about social and culture pressures. It says conflicting expectations from society, peers, or family regarding career, gender, or values can lead to identity confusion. That's a lot. And these things add mental health factors, conditions like depression and anxiety. I remember one time, this was some years ago before COVID. If you worked in, let me see, it was four places that people used to come in. And when people used to say, oh, my job stressed me out, they just be so stressed. It was one of four places they worked. It was either AT&T, Xerox, Comcast, or JPS. It was so normal that it got to a point to where all I had to do was pick what if I called out one of the four, 99.9% of the time, somebody was gonna be working one of them jobs. Now, how crazy is that? There wasn't no black thing, there wasn't no white thing, there wasn't no where you live at thing. Because many people commute to go to their job. So just because you work right here don't mean you live next door. I don't live next door to my job. You live next door to your job? Me neither. And it was so bad for years that I started paying attention so much to people. We talking about people that was getting literally treated, they was getting counseling, anxiety, all of these type of things. That stuff can destroy people. I remember we had this big event at church one time, and during this particular time, I was over the youth department. We did this big, big, big. This was the year I kind of oversaw like one of the biggest events. We had all kind of people there. It was good. It was good. And one of the young ladies that I had cut her hair off and on, she just walked up to me and she just hugged me and she cried. She ended up being at our church on this particular Sunday, and she said, "You don't know, I really come for you because of how you have helped make me feel." because people really struggle on so many different levels. So when we speak about individual identity issues, the reason I wanted to start out talking about the outer side, because once we peel this stuff off from the outside, we still got stuff internally that we have to deal with or should deal with. Or we discover that there are things on the inside that we are truly not dealing with, because it may not be your type of car compared to Frederica's car. It may not be your haircut compared to Frederica's haircut. It really could be what's going on with you on a daily basis where you spend a majority of your time. I'm gonna let Frederica talk in a minute, but I'm gonna say this. I was talking to a young lady yesterday that's very, very dear to me, and I love her dearly. And the job is mentally wearing her out. And my response is, I can't tell you what you should do. And I know everybody got bills. But what I will tell you is, I know I have seen firsthand what stress will do in regards to work. People die. Stress kill people. I said, so if something happened to you, you ain't going to nobody's job no way, let alone pay no rent, no car, no, you ain't gonna be able to be here to live and even take care of your kids. I came out and I said it because this has been an ongoing thing for so long. And it's kind of like at some point, regardless of what we are faced with, I want to encourage people, don't allow yourself to go into a slump of a pit, because the deeper you allow yourself to go in that hole, the harder it is to crawl up out of. There's nothing none of us can't do or have. Nobody is above the next person. And there may be times that, we all have to encourage ourselves. Frederica?
Oh yes, you definitely have to keep yourself encouraged. Um, and I say that because I have learned how to be my biggest cheerleader. Um, because nobody's gonna cheer for you like you cheer for yourself, and nobody's gonna advocate for you like you advocate for yourself. You literally have to be your own biggest cheerleader sometimes, especially in the world where everybody's struggling with everything at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
um, you have to learn how to be there for yourself, especially when it comes to taking care of others and working in the healthcare industry. I can tell you, whew, the stress, the burnout is very, very real. Um, and I've worked in healthcare for almost 20 years now. And I can say that it's a very rewarding field, depending on, what you're doing in it. It can be very rewarding, but if you don't have, um, how do I put this? If you don't have certain boundaries in place,
Mm-hmm.
when it comes to working in the healthcare field. And what I mean by that is, um, you got to learn how to, uh, what's the word am I looking for, Letha? You got to learn how to compartmentalize, is the word I'm looking for. You got to learn how to compartmentalize when you're working in healthcare, um, because you see so much stuff. You see so much stuff. And sometimes you can get attached to certain patients and employees and their families, and certain people start to feel like family, and they start to feel like friends, and then you realize, hey, these are just coworkers, these are just These are just my patients, you know. Um, so sometimes in certain situations, especially when you're dealing with in the healthcare field, you do have to compartmentalize for your mental health. Um, and I'm speaking to myself when I say that too, because I work in a children's hospital, and I get attached to my babies. I have a few of them now. I can't say I'm not gonna say they're my favorites, because then everybody's like, "You told me I was your favorite," but I have my certain ones that every time I see them, I'm like, "Come here, that's my baby right there. Bring me my baby." But I have to learn I can't get too attached to them, because one, these are not my children. And then two, these, I have to look at it from a professional standpoint. Like, these are my patients, and I do have to interact with them sometimes like that. Just because the kids always feel like whenever I come to the doctor, they always trying to give me a shot, or they always trying to poke me, stick me, or something. So sometimes you have to kind of interact with them like that and make them feel comfortable. Like, hey, we're not doing no shots today. Nobody's gonna stick you today. We all right. We okay. So you sometimes have to compartmentalize, and it can be a struggle, especially if you're working on the children's side of healthcare. It can be a really big struggle, because watching some of those kids like go through what they go through, um, and just seeing some of these kids, the things that they go through, will put a grown man down. You understand? And these kids are like soldiers out here. Um, and it can be heartbreaking and rewarding at the same time to watch that. But again, you have to learn how to compartmentalize for the sake of your mental health, so that you're not taking all that home with you.
Mhm.
Because when you get home, you got a whole nother world you got going on. You got a whole nother set of issues and problems and drama and stress. And if you got a husband or a wife, you got to deal with their stuff and
Mhm.
everything they done went through on their job. If you got children, you got to deal with their drama and what they got going on. And then you got to deal with the neighbors, because they tree done fell in your yard, done broke your fence, and they don't want to pay for nothing. Like,
Mhm.
you you got to realize you can't break all that stuff home with you. You got enough to deal with at home.
Mhm.
So being able to compartmentalize is so important, because you don't want to lose yourself on both a professional and a personal standpoint.
Mhm.
So you just got to learn how to do that. It's very important for your mental health, and like I said, it can be a struggle, especially if you're in the healthcare industry, or if you're dealing with doing any type of customer service job, whether it's healthcare, whether it's being a barber, a hairstylist, or just being in a service industry. Period, where you're always having to constantly deal with people and interact with people. Sometimes, if you're like me and Letha, sometimes we can take on people's stuff emotionally
Mhm.
without even realizing we have.
Mhm.
Cause we love people. We love,
Mhm.
dealing with people and helping folks. And when our people hurt, we hurt. And
Mhm.
sometimes we gotta learn we can't take on everybody's hurt. We got enough hurt of our own that we gotta deal with and sift through. So we just need to learn how to compartmentalize, so that we're not losing ourselves
Mhm.
in our worlds that we
Mhm.
have to be in from day to day.
Mhm.
That's just my little spiel. I'm gonna turn it back over to you, Letha.
So you hit on a few things, and I do want y'all to focus on the word compartmentalize. Frederica did remind us that we need to start setting boundaries. Self-reflection. I'm gonna share what I mentioned to my daughter the other week, because she was talking and dealing with a present situation, and I say, people don't need a reminder. You don't you don't have to remind yourself of not so great things or not good things of yourself, right? People don't need reminders on where they messed up, or they didn't they weren't up to par. Like, you don't need to keep reminding yourself of that, right? How about work on saying something good about yourself? So, and I know some people may be like, oh, it's not that easy. Listen, a lady commented on the post I made in a group the other day, and she was like, basically told me I made it look so easy. No, some days I have to force myself. It's not, no matter how easy it may seem, it's not easy to show up and be present every day. Whether you rolling out your bed, whether we getting in front of these cameras, whether we here right here on this Zoom, whether you getting up going to your job, whether you going to pick up your kids, Lord forbid, it's been people going to funerals back to back. We don't realize how much energy, people don't realize how much energy it takes just for you to be who you are, well, whoever you are in life. But you need to first set boundaries. And I like that Frederica talked about compartmentalize. And one thing you need to do, write some encouraging things down about yourself. It don't matter how other people view you. There are some things about you that you truly like. Even if you have an effort attitude, write it down. There is nothing wrong with not being bothered by what people think. There is something wrong with always worrying about what people think, and you're never, and it's almost as if you're so worried about what people think that you never measure up. That can affect you as well. So it's okay to, if you like makeup, it's okay if you like to retail therapy, it's okay if you like to binge watch TV, it's okay if you like to go sit by the water, it's okay if you want to paint rocks, declutter a closet, if you want to sit outside and look at the ants, things that excite you. So one thing people need to work on is self-compassion. Have some compassion for yourself. Isn't it amazing how we can have compassion for everybody else, everything that everybody else going through, all their issues, all their dilemmas? We can have so much compassion for people until where we would do all we can to help people out. But when it comes sometimes to self, you don't have that same compassion for yourself. Give yourself some grace. Give yourself some compassion. Give yourself some grace. And what are some things that you want to do? I tell people, make a bucket list. And you should, and you don't need to wait till tomorrow. Okay. So if you want to, let's say, I don't know, some people may want to write poetry, right? Some people may want to go traveling. Well, the sun don't need to go down, and you haven't put forth some effort into that. And these things can be done, and they can be done without putting direct money into it on the surface. But if you somebody and you know you plan on traveling, it ain't gonna help to go look up a few places that you may want to go. If you know you somebody you like to write, or somebody you want to sing, you may find that person who may motivate you and encourage you, or just get to writing. So spend more time with yourself, and um and don't always worry about the expectations of other people. Your identity is part of you defining your own core values. What matters to you, not what matters to your family, us, or what society dictates. Okay, I'm gonna say this again. Be focused on what's important to you, and not who society tells you you need to be, and not who your family tell you you need to be. Worst thing you can do is try to live for other people. There is no joy and happiness in that. Your joy and your passion, your principles, they should be centered around your life, not centered around other people's expectations of you. Okay? Self reflect on yourself. That goes back to saying things positive about yourself. Speak good to yourself. You know, I got one of my sisters. I'm not gonna call the sister's name, but she thanked the Lord for blessing the world with her beauty. I
Hey,
ain't I
I'm
ain't
just
mad at
saying.
her. She know
I'm
the
just
world better
saying.
because the
Yeah,
Lord blessed her to be here.
yeah,
And she thanks him. And it's not a condescending, sarcastic. That's not the
hmm
type of that's truly not what she's doing, right?
confidence.
It's their confidence and it's their
hmm
gratitude and it's the fact that you still able to get up and you able to bathe and you able to put
hmm
on clean clothes and you able to have these things. God, it's still giving some gratitude to God, but also while thanking God because if I can exemplify it, maybe I can go help. Sometimes what we do is how we inspire other people. So, I just say, Lord, we know we bless, got a roof over my head. I be thanking the Lord for curtains and rugs and TVs and, you know, and then I sometimes have to remind myself, you kind of all right when I have my moments because if you don't encourage yourself and you don't speak highly of yourself, we can't expect other people to do it for us. It's that song. Sometimes you got to encourage yourself. And it goes back, Frederica said it, we're going to say it again. It's called set boundaries. Create a space for yourself. I like to ask people, I like to ask people, what do you like to do that don't involve nobody but you? Not a family member, not a job. Just what do you like to do? And I tell anybody that's watching or have not heard me ask this question. If you don't know what you like to do, that don't have nothing to do with nobody else, you most definitely need to be spending some time with yourself. Don't try to force it. Don't overthink it. Like, don't try to make yourself come up with things that you like to do. Sometimes, like we sit up and observe other people, sometimes we got to observe ourselves. We have to observe our routine. You for all that, you may realize, what, I like that McCafe coffee. You may realize I actually go to McDonald's every day and buy that coffee. You know what? I like that community coffee. I actually go to the gas station. That's that you may be surprised of how you come in connect with yourself by observing yourself. That's how we connect with each other. We observe each other. We peep out each other's energy. We pay attention to people. You know, a lot of people, I can't say most because I don't know most people in the world, but I do think that a lot of people are kind of careful about the type of people they let up in their space. That's called setting boundaries. you know um and this is a good one. Move away from seeking validation from other people. You would never be exactly how people want you to be, and that's not your problem, that's their problem. The problem is if you put all of that energy into attempting to be something that you could never be for nobody else and not being your true self to you. You're causing yourself a disadvantage and you're inflicting more strain and trauma on yourself. And just know that you're more than a conqueror, regardless of the situation. We make mistakes, we fall down, we get up. We're not perfect. But don't try to be who everybody wants you to be and stop being so critical to yourself. People are so overly critical of themselves at times. Some don't work out on a job, it's their fault. Some don't work out in a relationship, it's their fault. They fall out with a family member, they feel guilty, it's their fault. Nothing sometimes appears to be things are not going right, it's their fault. No, stop being so critical of yourself all the time. Love on yourself. Appreciate yourself. If people don't appreciate you, you be the one human to appreciate yourself. Don't no other human on the face of this earth to appreciate you. That is something I deal with. I struggle. Part of my identity issues is acknowledgement. I shared that with somebody the other day. I said, I'm finna let you in my world. I was having a conversation with somebody. I said, and I don't let people all up in my world. But just so you'll know, I told this person I have always struggled with attention and acknowledgement. I don't as much now as I used to, but I still have my moments. But I'm acknowledging I know I have my moments. My therapy, being outside, is good for me. I can watch the squirrels, I can watch the birds, I can enjoy getting me a little exercise with that lawnmower. My crew like, what you doing that for? I gotta exercise. I ain't going to the gym. I'm telling if I was to get a gym membership, I'm only going to get on that hydro water thing. That was it. That's all I had it the first time anyway. Like I didn't go, I I I literally went to the gym strictly for that. I can't bend over. That's my therapy. I get to breathe in, I get to breathe out. I get to kind of motivate myself. You know, girl, you can do this. You got this. Not if they can do it, you can do it too. I can do it if can't nobody else do it. Right? So, you know, I want people to understand that you are truly not alone. However, I want people to understand that you have to be intentional about your peace. Connect with others. You can't, and we just spoke about that. You can't invite everybody up in your space. You need people in your space who are going to support your growth, not people who are going to try to keep you where you are. They're going to be supportive of you, right? Mindset shifts. Identity is not fixed. It evolves over time. You could feel one way today, and next week it could be something totally different. And it's okay for your views and your passions to change. We always talk about these young folks be flip-flopping, but you know, grown folks flip-flop too. You know, I I put myself at the top of the list, and I'm gonna end with this. Acknowledge your power. Realize you have the power to create your own identity. You don't have to find it, you create it. That's what helps set us apart from one another. We're not meant here to think alike, act alike, look alike. Everything is not a competition. Everything is not for other people's approval or popularity gain. You have the ability to create your own identity because we all have the power to do so. While we in this season of life, and it's a lot of people struggling right now. But I also think that as many people is struggling, I believe that the number is greater for those who have overcome. I believe the number is greater. But still exemplify what other people need to see. Because you really could save somebody's life based off how you show up, based off what you say, and based off how you smile and treat other people. So we're going to work on this. We're not going to make it complicated, but you have the power to change your own identity. Frederica, do you have anything else for us?
Um, yeah, just to kind of piggyback off of what you said.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you have asked me that question several times
Mm-hmm.
over the past few months.
Mm-hmm.
What do you like to do?
Mm-hmm.
And at first I struggled with it because outside of like doing stuff, with my daughter and for my daughter and, volunteering at the school where my daughter goes to school, I didn't really have a whole lot that I really like to do, you know? And so I had to do some soul searching, so to speak, to just realize that, my daughter, she'll be graduating from high school next year. And what what am I going to do when she graduates?
Mm-hmm.
And who am I going to be once she graduates? Because I've been a single mom for, 17 years now. And so once she graduates, with her being my only child, I'll technically be an empty nester. So who am I? You know, Besides just I'm not just a single mom. I'm Frederica too. But again, like you said, what is it that Frederica likes to do? What is it that Frederica wants to do? And that's something that I really had to ask myself. Like, who am I? What do I like to do? And so I've slowly started to get back into a lot of the things that I used to do. And one of my biggest things I used to love to read. Used to love to read. So I've slowly started to do that. I actually went to the library a couple of days ago and got a couple of books that I'm reading. And still working on my poetry, still working on my book. I'm not giving up on that. I I've had writer's block, but I'm starting to get back into it now. Um, so I'm still working on my book, still writing my poetry. I used to love the journal,
Mm-hmm.
um, just about whatever it is, even if it was just God, I feel sick, I feel tired of this world today, or God, I don't know what to say today. I'm just feeling some type of way and I can't explain it. I used to do things like that. And then later on in the year, I would go back and go through my journal just to kind of do some self reflection like, where was I mentally and emotionally on this day?
Mm-hmm.
And I look and I see how far I've evolved, into the person that I am now. And it's like, who I was going through some stuff. Oh Lord, I was depressed. I was really hurt over that. Like, why was I so hurt over that? Just little things like that that you don't realize affect you so hard in the moment, but then later on down the line, you do some reflection, like, why was I tripping over that? Like, why did that hurt me so much? In that moment, why did it hurt me so much? Because it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't matter now, but why did it hurt me so much in that moment?
Mm-hmm.
And then you have to realize, okay, well, I was going through this, or, I had this going on, or maybe something happened in your past and maybe it triggered you in that moment. And then later on down the line, you realize that you've healed from whatever that is in your past. And you was like, I shouldn't have tripped about that. Like, I was just, I don't know what was going on with me that day, but I shouldn't have been tripping about that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's been, things like that that I've learned about myself that I gotta start paying attention to me more.
Mhm.
Because again, outside of being a single mom, I'm still Frederica at the end of the day.
Mhm.
I'm still Frederica at the end of the day. And I have to make sure that not only am I taking care of my child, but I have to make sure that I'm taking care of Frederica too. And so I can't neglect Frederica at the end of the day, because without Frederica, my child, you know, she's just out here on the wing and a prayer,
Mhm.
you know?
Mhm.
So I do struggle with it. I struggle with trying to find myself again. You know, it's a journey, but you have to, as a mom, in order to really just really and truly be a mom, you have to spend some time with yourself. You have to spend some time with yourself doing something for yourself, because otherwise you'll lose yourself. Just just simple as that. You'll lose yourself. It's it's been something that I've been wanting to do for a long time. Like, for instance, this Mother's Day, I've been battling with this, going back and forth. There's a concert in Houston that I want to go to. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Chris Mitchell. He is a very, very talented saxophonist, and he is going to be in Houston Mother's Day weekend. Um, and I really want to go, but at the same time, I'm on the executive board for the band booster club in my daughter's school, and that's the same weekend they're supposed to be going to Gulf Shores, Alabama, and they want me to go on that trip, and I'm like, I don't know if I want to spend another Mother's Day weekend with a bunch of teenagers. Like, I've done that the past couple of years, and that ain't really all that fun. Like,
So let me ask you
yeah.
this. If you've done it the past few years,
Hmm.
it's somebody else time to step up to the plate.
Exactly. That's what I keep telling them.
Because people would not show up and let you keep doing it while they
Hmm.
doing what they do.
Yep.
So not telling you what to do, but this is
Hmm.
not a trip you clearly have not been on.
Right.
But you do risk the opportunity of not seeing Chris Mitchell.
Right.
There you go.
Right.
Okay.
Right. Right. And it's been a while since he's been on tour. And, I've always wanted to go back to Texas, and Houston is his hometown. So I was like, that would be the perfect Mother's Day Mother's Day gift slash birthday gift for myself. Because Mother's Day is May 10th, and then my birthday is May 19th, exactly 9 days after that. So this trip is not just about Mother's Day, it's also about my birthday too, because I don't really do a whole lot for my birthday like I used to. So that's one of the things that I wanna, get back into too, is celebrating myself.
So you
Like,
need to make your arrangements to go see Chris Mitchell.
yeah, yeah.
It's
I
it's
think
it's
I,
gas. You ain't got to get on no plane.
no, I'm not that. I ain't getting on no plane. I don't know if I
So
want to take that drive by myself either. So I don't know what I'm gonna do. Yeah, yeah. The struggle is real. Somebody gonna have to drive me. If any
okay,
I volunteers, please. I'll provide the gas money. I got the gas money. I
you
just
got the
need
gas.
somebody. Need somebody to drive me, and I'm so serious when I say that. Like, I just driving long distances is not my thing.
Okay.
It's just not my thing. I
Mhm.
get on a plane if I have to, but I really don't want to. But I
Can't get
pay
on no
somebody to
plane,
drive
but
me.
you plan on sleeping in the airport? You gonna be in line 4 5 days? You gonna stand for 8 hours trying to get a ticket?
Jesus. Yeah, I pay somebody to drive me. Let me know if
Okay.
y'all are able to do it. We will leave out May 9th because the concert, I mean May 8th, and the concert is May 9th. We'll be back May 10th at some point.
Hey, yeah, she looking for a chauffeur. She
Yes,
can.
I will. I'm willing to pay for someone to drive me to Houston, Texas.
She
Let me
is
know.
willing.
Serious inquiries only. I'm so serious.
Only.
I'm going to
Don't be
Houston.
playing.
I'm
She
going
ain't
to
got
Houston.
time.
Right.
She ain't got time to be fooling with y'all.
Mm-mm. But yeah, as a single mom, you do have to learn how to focus on yourself and not lose yourself in your kids. Because as much as we love our babies and
Mhm.
we'll do anything for them,
We will.
sometimes the best thing we can do for them is to be there for ourselves and to do something for ourselves. So those are my thoughts on that. I'm gonna turn it back over to you, Lee.
Okay, well, I think we have I think we touched on a lot of good things tonight. We want to remind everyone to just self-reflect and focus on yourself. And want you to and we want people um to really take time to understand that it's your life and you have a right to enjoy your life. So before we close out, I want to say something. Um, we and I ain't trying to get all sacrilegious and all of that, but we're in some challenging times. So I want to end with a prayer for not just our nation, but our whole world. Um, treat people better than you want to be treated. We all got the answer to somebody, some being, something. Living through life and treating people any kind of way has never been okay. Um, this is not a platform where we tell people which way to go or not go, but this is a diverse platform of unity. And we believe in being unified, even when times people's thoughts, beliefs may not line up. So it's some prayers. I had my little friend to send me last week, and I probably already posted it. I'm gonna tweak it a little bit. Heavenly Father, today we lift up our world before you. In times of division, help us find unity. In times of anger, help us choose compassion. In times of confusion, guide us with wisdom. Teach us to see each other not as enemies but as neighbors. Remind us that our differences do not have to divide us. They can teach us, strengthen us, and help us grow. Lord, touch the hearts of leaders, communities, and families across the land. Help us speak respect, listen with understanding, and act with kindness. Let peace rise where conflict once lived. Let healing replace hurt. Let unity replace division. May we become a world that values dignity, compassion, and justice for all the people. And let peace begin in each one of us. Amen.
Amen.
Please choose peace
Yes,
because it could be your families too.
that's right.
Be blessed. We appreciate you all. Good night, beautiful.
Yes. Good night, y'all.
Bye bye.